Welcome to the American Hard Assets Market Minute. I'm Ryan Kazmierski, editor of American Hard Assets, and today we're joined by AHA's own watch expert, Ed Estlow. Ed, what kind of retail watch would you suggest our readers to buy if they're looking to make some money on the back end?
If you're looking at especially a new watch, there are only 2 or 3 options, and a couple of those, of course, are Patek Philippe and Rolex. You can talk about Vacheron Constantin, Jaeger-LeCoultre, and a few others like that that are way up there. Elanga and Zona out of Germany is a beautiful watch these days that I think is going to hold its value. That's really what we're looking at is a 2 or 3 names that are really most assured to hold their value and in fact go up in value, and specifically the 2, Patek Philippe and Rolex. The classic models from either one of those are just going to hold their value and keep going.
So let's look at Patek Philippe and Rolex a little bit. Is there anything new coming out from those guys that is going to be a big hit on the market or anything like that?
Well, Patek is actually doing some cool things these days with ladies' watches, interestingly enough. Historically, ladies' watches haven't necessarily held their value, even in the Rolex line, but Patek is introducing, they just recently introduced a version of the Calatrava for ladies, which is a very interesting, elegant watch that's sized for a lady's wrist. Sometime in the last year or 2, they actually released a brand new in-house chronograph caliber, and the first watch they put it in was a lady's watch. So that was an interesting development from Patek, and I think that, first edition of any watch is going to be highly collectible, and of course. As all Pateks, it's only made in fine materials. Although, in fact, if you can ever find a Patek in stainless steel, just because of its rarity, it's collectible.
Okay. I've noticed in the news recently that a lot of Pateks are being sold at auction for some really high dollar amounts. What is the highest amount that you've ever seen a Patek go for at auction?
Boy, I'm not sure I've got that at the top of my head. Of course, last year there was the Eric Clapton, was that Perpetual? I forget the exact model number and title of that watch, but it went for somewhere around $3.6 million, somewhere in there. A watch that Eric probably bought in the 80s for high 5 figures, low 6 figures. So that one sticks in my mind. There have been a couple others that have gone at auction recently that are pocket watches. One that was relatively undiscovered, and I apologize, I'm drawing a blank on that price right now, but it was well into 7 figures.
Wow! So these things are really. Is it more of the design of the watch, or is it who wore it, or oftentimes it's both?
It can be both. Certainly, the Clapton piece, the provenance, proving that Eric Clapton himself wore it or owned it, perhaps wore it at the Grammys or something like that. So there's some heritage there. Often it's simply rarity. Some of the Patek pocket watches that I mentioned were literally one-off pieces made for royalty or extremely wealthy individuals who typically remain nameless when they order those. It may come out years or decades later, but those are typically anonymous watches, and just all of a sudden they come on the market, and bang! Holy smokes, what's this? So,
all right, Ed. Well, I appreciate the information. I look forward to talking to you again in a couple weeks.
Absolutely. Thanks much.